My first teaching experience was absolutely nerve-wracking.
Scary.
I was so excited.
Didn't feel nervous, really.
It was fun, which is good. I wanted it to be fun, and it was fun.
When I first left YogaLondon, I applied for gyms and studios, but all of whom said, well, you need experience, send us your CV, and I didn't have any. So in the end, I went to a local alcohol and drug rehabilitation centre and just offered my services for free. You know, could I teach yoga?
I just put it on Facebook. I was like, right guys, I'm a qualified yoga teacher now, let's get going.
First teaching experience was, bless them, the wardrobe and backstage staff on the Sound of Music tour last year.
I was actually covering class, that was my first experience, and I felt like I had a lot to live up to.
And all the things that I had been taught and learned, I was just running through that list of making sure that it was all done.
The class was lovely, and it was really, really great to start to work with adjusting people in the class. I felt really well prepared to do that from the teacher training.
I felt ready. I absolutely felt ready to start teaching, but I think, as with anything, the first time will always be intimidating, will always be difficult.
Even though I'm used to kind of standing up in front of people and teaching them, this was on a completely different level.
To be honest, I feel so sorry for them now in my first lesson. The students taught me so much. For example, if they were taking methadone, which is a heroin replacement, it may be that they can bend and touch their toes, but they'll be in absolute agony the next day because it's a very strong painkiller.
A lot of them hadn't done any yoga or much before, and they were all dead at the end of it. I was like, oh God, I've done too much. Poor things.
You know, we knew that the bits were there that we could say, we could go through the motions and say, you know, engaging the core, lengthening the spine. But actually, they were there and they weren't engaging their core and they weren't lengthening their spine, and you had to be like, okay, so it's thinking about pulling inwards and upwards and lengthening, you know, and actually having to put it all into practice.
So it really was, whoa, you know, step back and start with very, very gentle poses, you know, and it's not about getting people to touch their toes and doing really complicated things. For some people, it is just sitting down and breathing.
I remembered to breathe, which I was telling the students to do and realising I myself wasn't doing.
Even if you don't know the exact answer for something, you still have to remain composed and you still have to be able to draw on your instinctive response. In New Zealand, there's a word for it, it's called mana, and it's a Māori word, and it just means like remaining completely secure and confident, and sort of proud isn't really the right word, but keeping that sort of composure, I guess.
Took a few classes before I started feeling really confident, but I was told it didn't show that I was nervous, so that's, I suppose, a good thing as well.
I could hear my voice shaking at the beginning, but as the lesson went on, it just felt like, oh, this was just a very natural thing, because you got into because we'd done so much practice and we'd seen so many different styles of teaching that we kind of picked and took for ourselves, that when you were then trusted to do it, it was scary, but it did come, thank God.
Just talk about something that you're
You're just shooting my hands on their own, that's amazing.
Those fears kind of just dissolved away.
In between poses.
You know, the whole fake it till you make it kind of concept in a way, but it's not really faking it.
Can we just pause for a sec? Are my answers okay?